the Minister now to move the second reading, or Secretary of State, the Home Secretary himself, James Cleverly.
Mr. Speaker, with your indulgence, before I formally move the bill, the House may well be aware that tragically there has been death on the BB Stockholm barge. I'm sure that the thoughts of the whole House, like mine, are with those affected. The House will understand that at this stage I'm uncomfortable in going into any more details, but we will, of course, investigate fully. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the bill be now read a second time. Yeah. This government is stopping the boats. Arrivals are down by a third this year as illegal entries are on the rise elsewhere in Europe. Indeed, small boat arrivals are up by 80% in the Mediterranean. They are down by a third across the Channel. The largest ever small boats deal with France, tackling the supply of boat engines and parts. The arrest and conviction of people smugglers, a 70% increase in the raids on illegal working. These things are having an impact, and a positive one. We have signed returns agreements and cooperation agreements with France, with Bulgaria, with Turkey, Italy, Georgia, and Ethiopia. 50 hotels are being returned to the local communities, and the initial asylum backlog, which stood at 92,000, is now under 20,000. We have sent back 22,000 illegal migrants, and the UK's arrangement with Albania proves that deterrents work. Last year, not just yet, I've just started. Last year, a third of all those arriving in small boats to the coast of this country were Albanian. This year, we have returned 5,000 Albanians, and arrivals from that country are down by 90%, 90%. But in recent years, some of the government's efforts to tackle illegal migration and deport foreign national offenders have been frustrated by a seemingly endless cycle of legal challenges and rulings from domestic and foreign courts. Of course, just momentarily, of course, this government respects court judgments, even when we disagree with them. But Parliament and the British people want an end to illegal immigration, and they support the Rwanda plan.
I'm very grateful to the Home Secretary for giving way, but he's pointed to deterrence, and he's often used the Australian model of offshoring detention centres as a gold standard. What are his comments then, the fact that Australia has recently shut down their offshore centre because of the high financial and human costs?
Home Secretary.
The Honourable Lady raises the case of Australia. Their illegal migrations by boats, 55,000 they had, trended pretty much down to zero. Deterrence works. Deterrence works.
I thank my right honourable friend, I'm sure, will agree that the British are world champions at queuing. We don't like queue jumpers, which is why illegal immigration grates with us. Can he confirm that the government will take all steps to ensure that we will remain within international law, just not now, but going forward? In which case, I will certainly be supporting the bill tonight. But can he also, does he also agree with me that some colleagues in this place need to be careful what they wish for?
Secretary.
So I am confident, and indeed the conversations that I've had with the government's legal advisers reinforce my belief that the actions that we are taking, whilst novel, whilst very much pushing at the edge of the envelope, are within the framework of international law. And that is important. That is important because the UK is a country that demonstrates to the whole world the importance of international law. We champion that on the world stage, and it's important that we demonstrate it. I'm going to make further progress. Judges, of course, play an important role. But they are not policy makers. They should not be policy makers. And so when the courts find a particular formulation of policy unlawful, it is the job of politicians to listen to their views, respect their views, and find a solution. I will make further progress. Thanks to the efforts on the part of the UK government and the government of Rwanda, that is exactly what we have done in response to the verdict from the Supreme Court. The new treaty that I signed last week with Rwanda and the bill that accompanies it are game-changing. The principle of relocating people to a safe country to have their asylum claim processed there is entirely consistent with the terms of the Refugee Convention. Both the High Court and the Court of Appeal unanimously confirmed this point.
I'm very grateful to my right honourable friend. He was an excellent Foreign Secretary, so he will know the extraordinary tensions that exist between the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda. The Democratic Republic of Congo accuses Rwanda of sponsoring the M23 terrorist organization, which is violating Congolese women and killing Congolese soldiers. The Congolese president has named the Rwandan president as a Hitler-like figure this week. What is his response to the concerns of our Congolese friends in this regard?
In my formal role, I had extensive conversations with both the government of the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda. We do not agree with that assessment of the government of Rwanda. And more importantly, other international organisations also rely heavily on Rwanda. The UNHCR, the European Union, these are organisations which rely heavily on Rwanda. They would not do that. If they believed Rwanda was an unsafe country. I do intend to make further progress. There's a second reading debate. There will be plenty of opportunity for colleagues to speak. No,
can I thank the Minister for giving way? Minister, just yesterday I received correspondence which I need to quote. EU Council Directive 2005-85 EC is caught by Article 2 of the Protocol, therefore can be relied upon in Northern Ireland but not in the GB in relation to the Rwanda bill coming forward. Article 7 confers the right to remain in the territory whilst a claim is being processed. This clearly creates additional rights in the NI which doesn't apply in GB and expressly frustrates the core intent of the Rwanda bill for applying in Northern Ireland. Has the Minister had the opportunity to look to that?
Home Secretary.
The point he makes about differential treatment in different parts of the United Kingdom is one that we are conscious of. As the bill progresses, of course, he will have, and others will have, the opportunity to raise concerns about specific details, and we will, of course, listen to his and the concerns of others. This bill attempts, and this bill, when passed, will address the practical implications. At the moment, the challenges of numbers of refugees in Northern Ireland is not one that is as significant as in other parts of the UK, but we're always conscious to make sure that all parts of the UK, and he has heard me say this before, that all parts of the UK are and feel that they are in the thinking of the government as we move forward. I am going to make further progress. As I say, the principle of relocating people to a safe country to have their asylum claims processed is entirely consistent. And as I say, the High Court and the Court of Appeal unanimously confirm this. And the Supreme Court, in their findings 3 weeks ago, did not dispute those findings. I will give way, and then
I'm extremely grateful to my right honourable friend. Does he agree that it is clear in international law and also in relation to the question of the rule of law that where in this country, with our unwritten constitution, a clear and unambiguous use of words clearly establishing the intention of Parliament in the enactment of a law does in fact take precedence over international law in accordance with the judgments of Lord Hoffman and also other judgments and statements made by Lord Judge, Lord Denning, and other very distinguished jurists, including in relation to this particular judgment last month in paragraph 144.
Secretary.
My honourable and learned friend makes an important point, and he is right, that when the wording of a bill is clear and unambiguous, where there is a deeming clause, that is the express will of the Parliament, that Parliament is sovereign, and that thinking must be adhered to through the legal process. So he is right on that. I am going to make progress. A few weeks ago, the Supreme Court upheld the judgment of the Court of Appeal, meaning that we cannot yet lawfully remove people to Rwanda. This is because of concerns that they expressed that relocated individuals might be refooled. And I'm sure the House knows, but that is that they might be redeported to a third country. The government disagreed with that verdict, but as I said, we respect the verdict of their lordships. It is important to understand that the Supreme Court's judgment was based on the facts as they existed 18 months ago, and that the court said the problem could be remedied. And as I told the House last week, we have worked on and have found that very remedy. Our asylum partnership with Rwanda I'm going to make progress. Our asylum partnership with Rwanda sets out in a legally binding international treaty the obligations both of the United Kingdom and of Rwanda within international law. It also sets out, and then I will.
I'm extremely grateful to my right honourable friend for giving way. As he says, international law and domestic law are both important, but they are different. This bill seeks to give this House the power to deem Rwanda a safe country. Can he confirm for me that what it does not seek to do is to suggest that this country, or this House, has the power to deem itself in compliance with international law? And my worry stems from Clause 1(5) of this bill, which, of course, reflects the government's intention to deem Rwanda a safe country, but then goes on to describe a safe country as one to which persons may be removed in compliance with all of the United Kingdom's obligations under international law. Will he confirm it isn't the government's intention to suggest that it falls to any country to deem itself in compliance with international law? He doesn't need me to explain what the consequences of that might be elsewhere in the world. That is not what the government's intention is, and he will look again at the language if it needs to be changed to clarify that point.
Secretary.
I can reassure my right honourable and learned friend that that is absolutely not the intention of the bill. The deeming clause. The deeming clause is specifically about the safety of Rwanda because of our response to their lordships' position at the Supreme Court hearing. We are not seeking to redefine through domestic legislation international law. And then I will give way to the honourable learned lady.
I'm grateful to him for giving way. If he's right and the treaty with Rwanda it meets the concerns of the Supreme Court, then why is this bill necessary? If Rwanda is now a safe country as a result of the treaty, why is this highly controversial bill that's clearly causing him great problems in his own parliamentary party, why is it necessary?
Because we are putting forward legislation which will be clear and unambiguous, so as to support the treaty. And the treaty addresses the concerns raised by their lordships. And with the indulgence of the House, Mr. Speaker, I do intend to make some progress. I want to make sure that others have the full chance to speak in this debate. As I say, the bill sets out to Parliament and to the courts why Rwanda is safe for those relocated there. The treaty that I signed last week puts beyond legal doubt the safety of Rwanda. It provides the basis to end the merry-go-round of legal challenges that have second-guessed the will of Parliament and frustrated this policy, this House, and the desire of the British people. Rwanda will introduce an even stronger end-to-end asylum system, stronger still than the one which underpins their relationship with the UNHCR. It will have a specialist asylum appeals tribunal.
I thank the Home Secretary for giving way. Since we last spoke in this House, it's been now confirmed that the government has given the Rwandan government $240 million, with a further $50 million to come in April, all independently of anybody being sent to Rwanda. Can he now also confirm that the government's deal also means a further $50 million in 2025 and a further $50 million on top of that in 2026?
Home Secretary.
Well, the Right Honourable Lady is asking me to confirm figures which we have put in the public domain. So, unsurprisingly, I'm totally comfortable. I'm totally comfortable confirming what I've already said, Mr. Deputy Speaker. It provides Rwanda, as I say, will introduce an even stronger. She's got the chance to make a speech in just a few moments. She has got the chance to make a speech in just a few moments. It will have one Rwandan. The system of specialist asylum tribunals to consider individual appeals against any refused claim within Rwanda. It will have one Rwandan and one other Commonwealth co-president, and will be made up of judges from a mix of nationalities selected by the co-presidents. We have been working, and this comes to the point she's making about the money that has been spent by the British government. As is the case with many countries around the world, the government spends money capacity building with our international partners. And we have been working extensively with, I'm going to make progress, we have been working extensively with Rwanda to build capacity too. The treaty makes clear that anyone we locate to Rwanda cannot be removed from Rwanda to another country except back to the United Kingdom. It is binding in international law, and it enhances the role of the Independent Monitoring Committee, which will have the power to set its own priority areas for monitoring. The committee will have unfettered access to monitor the entire relocation process, from initial screening to relocation and settlement in Rwanda. Relocated individuals and legal representatives will be able to lodge confidential complaints directly with that committee. It is this treaty and the accompanying evidence pack that enables the government to conclude with confidence that Rwanda is safe. We will need to be certain that domestic and foreign courts will also respect the treaty. And that is why we have introduced the bill. And
I'm grateful to my right honourable friend. On that point on foreign courts, 5.2 of the bill says that it's for a Minister of the Crown to decide whether the United Kingdom will comply with the interim measure. Is the advice from the Attorney-General that it will be compatible with international law for a Minister to refuse to comply with such an indication?
Secretary.
Well, my right honourable friend, who is an expert proceduralist in this House, will know that advice from the AG to government is privileged, and I am not going to be sharing it at the dispatch box. But he will also know that the government's position is clear and unambiguous, that this is in accordance with international law. So he can rest assured on that. And I will give way briefly and then to the...
I'm grateful, Right Honourable for giving way. Will he confirm that, in fact, as a matter of law, an interim measure under Rule 35 is directed not to the courts of the United Kingdom, but to the governments of the member states? So, therefore, what the bill says simply restates what is the position anyway. It's the member state that it applies to, not the courts.
Home Secretary.
My honourable learned friend is absolutely right. Is absolutely right. I will give way one more time, and then I will make more progress.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the Home Secretary for giving way. He says he won't reveal the Attorney General's advice to the House. That's fine. But on the issue of the money, his permanent secretary was in front of the Public Accounts Committee yesterday and told us that as well as the payment due of $50 million next year, there are payments planned for years 4 and 5. Is he willing to share with the House how much payment will be made to Rwandans in years 4 and 5 of this programme?
Secretary.
The Honourable Lady will know that we have committed to a reporting schedule which is completely consistent with other government departments, completely consistent with the reporting schedule of the Home Office in other files, and we absolutely intend to commit to doing that. So the reason we have introduced this bill, it builds on the Illegal Migration Act and complements all other measures that this government is employing to end illegal migration. The Safety of Rwanda Asylum and Immigration Bill makes it unambiguous and clear that Rwanda is safe and will prevent the courts from second-guessing the will of this sovereign parliament. It gives, I've got to make progress, it gives effect to the judgment of Parliament that Rwanda is a safe country, notwithstanding UK law or any interpretation of international law. For the purposes of the bill, a safe country is one to which people may be removed from the United Kingdom in compliance with all of the UK's obligations under international law. And I hope that will reassure my right honourable and learned friend, and that are relevant to the treatment in that country of people who are removed there. It means that someone removed to that country will not be removed or sent to another country in contravention of any international law. And anyone who seeks asylum or who has had an asylum determination will have their claim determined and be treated in accordance with that country's obligations under international law. I'm going to make progress. I've been generous, but I want others to have the chance to speak. Anyone removed to Rwanda under the provisions of this treaty will not be removed from Rwanda, except to the United Kingdom, in a very small number of limited and exceptional circumstances. Should the UK request the return of any relocated person, Rwanda will return them. Decision makers, and that includes both myself or the holder of the post of Home Secretary, an immigration officer, or the courts, must all treat Rwanda as a safe country, and they must do so notwithstanding all relevant UK law or any interpretation of international law by courts or tribunals. And that includes the European Convention on Human Rights, the Refugee Convention, the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights, the UN Convention Against Torture and Other Cruel, Inhumane or Degrading Treatments or Punishment, the European Convention on Actions Against Trafficking in Human Beings done at Warsaw, 16th of May 2005, customary international law, and any other international law or convention or rule of international law whatsoever, including order, judgment, decision or measure of the European Court of Human Rights. The Prime Minister has been crystal clear that he and the government that he leads will not let foreign courts destroy this Rwanda plan and curtail our efforts to break the business model, of those evil people smuggling gangs.
I'm very grateful to my right honourable friend. He makes the point about foreign courts. But what about domestic courts? Is there not a danger that in pursuing quite stringent measures in this bill, that we are really testing the principle of comity to breaking point? This House and this Parliament is sovereign, but we also have the independence of the courts and the rule of law to bear in mind, and restraint on both sides by the judiciary and by this place is essential if we are to maintain the balance of our constitution.
Secretary.
My right honourable and learned friend, who knows I have a huge amount of respect for him, not just as a friend, as an individual, but also his experience at the bar, at a very high level within the bar. He raises an important point, and I want to give him complete reassurance that we have looked very, very carefully at the balance that he speaks about. We absolutely respect the importance of that. We genuinely believe this does get the balance right, although because of the growing nature of this extreme and perverse trade in human misery, we have to take firm action, and we are therefore acting in a way that maintains that balance. But it is novel. He says it's contentious. It is true, but we are doing it because we have to break this business model. We have to do this. We have to do this. When the European Court of Human Rights indicates, and this speaks to the point my right honourable friend made just a few moments ago, where the European Court of Human Rights indicates an interim measure relating to the intended removal of someone to Rwanda under, or purportedly under, a provision of the Immigration Act, a Minister of the Crown, not a court or a tribunal, a Minister of the Crown alone will decide whether the UK will comply with that interim measure. And in order to further prevent individual claims to prevent removal, the bill disapplies certain relevant provisions from the Human Rights Act 1998, in particular circumstances, including sections 2, 3, 6, 7, 8 and 9. This is lawful. This is fair. This is necessary, because we have now addressed every reason that has been used to prevent their removal to Rwanda. We have prevented asylum claims from being admitted with legislation that has... we have blocked asylum claims from being admitted with legislation that has already passed through this House. When the Illegal Migration Act is enforced, modern slavery disqualification provisions will assist with speedy removal. The only possible blocking of removal is if an individual can demonstrate with compelling evidence that there is an immediate risk of serious and irreversible harm to them in particular under their individual circumstances. This sets the bar, rightly, very high, so that the chances of that happening are, rightly, extremely small. Mr. Speaker, the only way to deter people from coming here illegally is to convince them that if they do, they will be unable to stay. Instead, they will be detained and swiftly removed to a safe third country or their home country if it is safe to do so. I'm going to conclude. I've been at my feet for a while. I'm going to conclude. This is how we will save lives at sea. This is how we will deter illegal migration. And this, Mr. Speaker, and the House should take note of this, this is how we will break the business model of the most evil and perverse trade that we currently can see, and that is the trade in vulnerable people. The people smugglers, they are not humanitarians, Mr. Speaker. They are vicious criminals, and we must take action to prevent them. This is how we restore confidence in our immigration system and assert full control over our borders. Let me conclude. I'm nearly done. Let me conclude. This is how we will overcome the intolerable pressure on taxpayers, on public services and on local communities that illegal immigration creates. That's how we will make sure that the system is fair. Fair to those who play by the rules, and fair to the British people who are rightly sick of people arriving here from France in small boats. From France, a safe and wonderful country. Rwanda stands ready to welcome those new arrivals. They stand ready to find a solution, to work with us to find a solution on this global issue, rather than being part of a problem. And for that, I believe they should get our thanks and admiration. This is an innovative and humane solution to a growing global problem. Other countries Other countries are looking at what we are doing and are making similar plans of their own. A new treaty and this bill make clear in law that Rwanda is a safe country in which to relocate illegal migrants. And I want to extend an offer to the whole House. Colleagues across this House must know how much this matters to our constituents. Our voters, for whatever party they vote for, are warm and welcoming people to those in genuine need. And we've seen this, Mr. Speaker, we've seen this in the way that people across this country have opened their homes to many of the 500,000 people who have come here via safe and legal routes in the last decade. But the British people rightly expect everyone to play by the rules, and they expect us in this House to do what it takes to stop the boats. That is what voting for this legislation means. Our voters are horrified when they see images of people drowning in the Channel. They are horrified when they see those people smugglers taking advantage of people. They want an end to illegal migration. This government has a plan that will provide an alternative home for illegal arrivals to the UK and to deter others from coming here illegally, and I commend this bill to the House.
The question is that the bill now be read a second